You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I am Chase Sr. Time to answer all of your questions in what has been a crazy, wild, and insane week across the NBA. But first, make sure you're subscribed to our main Chat Sports YouTube channel by either going to youtube.com/chatsportstv, which is the link at the bottom of your screen, or hitting that red subscribe button down below, because we're going live for the NBA Draft Lottery on Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll break it all down, see where which teams fall where, and also after we see which teams are picking where, we're going to put out another NBA Lottery mock draft. This question coming in from 4Hype or 3-Channel Friend. What team was Chris Paul best for? The Phoenix Suns. He wanted to go to Phoenix for business and professional reasons. So he's great on the Phoenix Suns. In terms of his NBA career, what he did to kind of repair the culture of OKC is pretty crazy. OKC didn't make the playoffs this year. They were one of the worst teams in the NBA. Last year they made the playoffs all because of CP3. But I'd say, what team has he been best for? The Phoenix Suns. He's getting into the Western Conference Finals. He has had an impact on the Suns like Tom Brady has had on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from a cultural standpoint. So I'm going with the Phoenix Suns. His work there, has been absolutely magical. Let's get to this question. Do the Sixers have a chance to trade for Damian Lillard? If Damian Lillard comes out and demands a trade out of Portland, the Sixers are one of the few teams in the NBA who have player assets to give up to bring back Damian Lillard. They could include Ben Simmons in a deal, as well as Tyrese Maxey, maybe even Matisse Thybulle, and future draft picks. So when you look at all of the teams across the NBA who could give up something for Damian Lillard, there are only a few. If the Boston Celtics want to give up like a Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard, maybe that happens. I don't think they do so. Sixers certainly have a good shot. Oh yeah, with this question, do you think Luka Doncic wanted Rick Carlisle out? I'm not sure, and I'm kind of bordering on both sides. Is Luka Doncic a crybaby? Is he asking for too much? Have the Mavericks just kind of given him too much power so early in his career? I think Luka Doncic liked Rick Carlisle. Why wouldn't you? I think he's one of the better coaches across the NBA. He's had sustained success. Harrison Graham on our Mavs channel was talking about how the Mavericks put together 13 straight seasons under Donnie Nelson and Rick Carlisle of 50-plus wins. You know how hard that is to do in the Western Conference? So I'm not sure if Luka Doncic wanted Rick Carlisle out. I do know this. The Mavericks, Mark Cuban, whoever's going to be the next coach, as well as the general manager for this franchise, do whatever it takes to make Luka Doncic happy. He's the closest thing, in my opinion, that we've seen since LeBron James, and you want to keep a generational player like that happy and under team control. They're going to give him the max of this offseason. I agree with that. Luka should take it, because anytime you can secure the bag, you should definitely do so, because you never know what's going to happen with injuries. But for Mark Cuban, do whatever you got to do to make this dude smile, because he is built different and he is one of one. Do you think Luka pushed out Rick Carlisle? Let me know. Get your votes in. Type Y for yes, he did. Type N for nah, I don't think he did. Let me know what you're thinking on this topic. It's certainly been one that's been debated across all NBA circles. I don't think he did. I just think Rick Carlisle wanted to escape all of the dysfunction, and sometimes you really just need a change of scenery. I think that's the case here. Nola Pelicans fan is always in the chat, so shout out to you for watching us every single week. What should the Pelicans do to keep Zion Williamson happy? So this is a very similar approach to Luka Doncic. And the good news for the Pelicans is this. They have some solid players on the roster. Lonzo Ball is going to be a restricted free agent. Brandon Ingram is under club control because the Pelicans just gave him a lot of money. So right there you have Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, and Zion Williamson. I believe all of those guys are under 25 years old. Maybe Ingram isn't. I'm pretty sure all of them are. The point being here is that they have a young core to build around. Jackson Hayes is another solid player. Steven Adams, if you can get rid of that contract, that's kind of prohibitive. But there is some room, and there is some kind of cushion to make Zion Williamson happy and surround him with a really, really good roster. You got to get the head coaching position right, though, if you're David Griffin. The Stan Van Gundy hire made absolutely no sense in the world. You got to get a young coach in here who can relate to players. That is my mission for the Pelicans this offseason. Next question from Javarius. How can the Mavs get Zion? Give up Luka Doncic? Give up 5 future first-round picks? Give up everybody on your roster? Look, If I'm the Mavericks, I'd be all in because Luka and Zion would be a great partnership. And actually, in terms of on-court fit, I think it'd be pretty fascinating because Luka's a great passer, great creator, great scorer, and that kind of allows Zion to be in a hybrid role where he can live down low in the dunker spot, he can bring the ball up and kind of take away the usage rate from Luka, but you'd have to give up an arm, a leg, your head if you want to cut yourself off to get Zion Williamson on the Dallas Mavericks. This super chat, $2.99 from Cameron. Kemba is out. Is Smart the starting point guard day one? In terms of on-court or on-roster players who could take over for Kemba Walker, you're looking at Marcus Smart to be your point guard. But is he that traditional point guard? I'm not sure. Fascinating to see what Brad Stevens does here. Does he also decide to trade Marcus Smart? Because that's a realistic scenario that could come to fruition as well. You trade away Kemba, you trade away Marcus Smart, and either you free up salary because Marcus Smart only has 1 year left on his contract and you try to lure a free agent in here, or do you try to trade for another point guard? Or is Brad Stevens such a fan of Marcus Smart where he thinks he can be the facilitator on this team? Also, Celtics in the 2020 NBA draft, they took Peyton Pritchard out of Oregon, and I thought he flashed at times this past year in his rookie season. Those are on-roster players who could immediately fill the void of Kemba Walker no longer being there. I just think the Celtics will go elsewhere, going to the free agent market, maybe trying to make a trade for another point guard. But because of that super chat, I do need to crack a beer and take a sip of beer for that super chat. I do appreciate that question. Let's get to this question from Ilian Hamani. Do you think the Rockets have a bright future? #NBA. Ilian, if you're a Houston Rockets fan, I'm so sorry. I'll give you a box of tissues if you need it. I think they have the bleakest future of any team across the NBA. Reasons for optimism. If they get the number 1 overall pick and they land a Cade Cunningham, that could turn all of those misfortunes around. It has been a horrific time to be a Houston sports fan. Everything that's gone on with Deshaun Watson, James Harden, the face of the franchise, asks out. They trade him and literally don't get an immediate impact player back. Everything that happened with the cheating scandal with the Houston Astros. Tough time to be a Houston fan. I'm sorry. You missed 27 threes in that game against the Golden State Warriors back in 2018. If that didn't happen, I think you win the title. But the future could be bright if you get the draft pick right and you take Cade Cunningham at number 1. Let's get to this question from the Rogue Brothers. I know they're always in the chat as well. What do you think about Dirk Nowitzki in charge of hiring the GM and coach, plus any further front office decisions? The front office decisions, you got to get the GM right. You got to get the coach right as well. I think Mark Cuban, this is a sign that he is leaning on Dirk to try to get this franchise back on the right path. 11 straight seasons of not making the playoffs, or they haven't made the 1A playoff series, that's my bad, since 2011 when they won that NBA championship. And in a big market like this, one of the largest markets across the NBA, with an owner who is always willing to spend, they haven't been able to land free agents. There has been front office dysfunction because I think what was said in that Athletic article was correct. So if Mark Cuban is leaning on Dirk Nowitzki to help him out, I actually kind of like it, and I think it will help alleviate some of that dysfunction and just get this franchise in the right direction. Look, you have Luka Doncic. He's a generational player, so at least you have that working for you. Let's pivot to this question from the real Derek Fisher, who had one of the most lethal left-handed corner threes of all time. What's one move the Lakers need to make this offseason to be title contenders? So if you go to youtube.com/LakersTV and check out our Lakers-only channel, earlier this week I broke down why the Lakers should be all in pursuing Kyle Lowry. They're going to have to get creative with their spending, with their cap. They might have to make trades to free up money because Kyle Lowry last year made around $30 million. He's going to be a free agent. I don't think he demands that much money, but I would make a move like that because Lowry, even though he's 35 years old, is a win-now player, still playing like an all-star. I think that could help them compete for a championship this upcoming season. D-Man Dooney, another frequent watcher of us here at Chat Sports. Any chance same Dame or Beal go to the Dubs? If so, trade idea, #NBA. So you're asking if Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal go to the Warriors? My goodness, I mean, that would be wild. I think for the Warriors to do that, they would have to trade Uh, let's figure this out. You got me now? Mike, audio's back? Okay, cool. So D-Man Dooney, if you didn't hear me, sorry about those technical difficulties here. So any chance, D-Man Dooney asking this question, any chance Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal go to the Golden State Warriors? If so, trade idea. So I think if the Warriors even want to have any chance of bringing those guys in, they're going to have to clear a bunch of salary. That would include trading away Andrew Wiggins, who makes more than $30 million. Draymond Green is also on a max contract. Like, that would be the realistic thing that you have to do to bring those players in, given their price tag and what they'll demand in the future, because Beal can opt out of his contract after next season, I believe. Don't see that one happening, but my goodness, it would make the Warriors very, very exciting. Joel McLaughlin with this question. What team would fit Kyle Lowry next season? I'm looking at the Boston Celtics, I'm looking at the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'm looking at the New York Knicks. I think those are the three top teams that could be suitors for Kyle Lowry on the free agent market this season. Knicks really need a point guard, so too do the Celtics after trading away Kemba Walker. They would also have to free up cap space as well. Lakers in that same boat of having to get creative with their spending, but I think Kyle Lowry on those three teams could really help push them over the top. Make sure you're subscribed to our main Chat Sports YouTube channel and let this be your NBA offseason hub for the latest free agency, news and rumors, trade speculation as we lead up to the NBA draft. We're also going to continue to break down NBA draft prospects. If you're watching us live on today's Friday show, coming at you soon, our latest NBA mock draft. Go to youtube.com/chatsportstv or hit that red subscribe button down below. Also, we're going to be going live on Tuesday night, 8 o'clock Eastern for the NBA draft lottery. So all reason to subscribe to Chat Sports and turn those notifications on. Let's move ahead to this question from Robert Bruce. Chat Sports, love you guys. Love you too. Sam and Jeremy behind the scenes. Hey, they make all of this work on the ones and twos. Celtics still need a dominant number 5. Where do you think they go next with Robert Williams if he can't stay healthy? Well, maybe because Robert Williams can't stay healthy, that's a reason why Brad Stevens brought back Al Horford in this deal. And a lot of people were ripping the Boston Celtics with this deal that came down on Friday. Kemba Walker going to OKC in addition to a first-round pick and second-round pick in exchange for Moses Brown, Al Horford, and a future second-round pick. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, the Celtics lost this trade. I don't think they did, because over the next 2 seasons combined, they're clearing up about $20 million to continue to build around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, and also you bring back Al Horford, who I still think has gas left in the tank, who's been one of the best defenders against a guy like Joel Embiid, who's a in-division, in-conference guy who you have to go up against multiple times a year. And maybe that's insurance for Robert Williams not being able to stay healthy. But Moses Brown also coming back in that deal is something that I liked as well. Does that mean that Tristan Thompson is not going to play for the Celtics next year? I would hope so. Moses Brown averaged around 8-9 points and 9 rebounds last year. He's been a journeyman in the NBA. So I think the move was for Brad Stevens, clear some money to build around our stars, but also fortify the front court, which was a serious problem for the Celtics this past season. Let's get to this question from Ryan Johnson. Do you think the Lakers regret not getting Lowry at the deadline? If you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior, I've talked about this a lot. Also, if you go to youtube.com/LakersTV, I broke down why I think the Lakers should have traded for Kyle Lowry and why they should pursue him in free agency. I think without AD, if you have Kyle Lowry in that first-round series against the Suns, he might, in addition to LeBron James, help you escape that first-round series. And look, it came down to getting rid of Dennis Schroeder, KCP, and Talen Horton-Tucker. Rob Pelinka didn't want to include THT in that deal. I think that was a mistake. I would have given him up because you have to capitalize on this window right now to win an NBA championship when LeBron James is 36 years old. So I do think that was a mistake, and I appreciate that question. Sean Ireland chiming in as well. Why is Becky Hammon the best fit to be the Mavs' next head coach? She's getting a lot of buzz and should get a lot of interviews across the NBA for head coaching openings. Becky Hammon came up under Greg Popovich. She won a WNBA title. She was so experienced. She has learned from arguably one of, if not the best coaches in the history of basketball, certainly over the last couple of decades, right up there with Phil Jackson. So I think Becky Hammon at some point is going to be an NBA head coach. I'm not sure when it's going to be or if it's going to be this offseason, but I think at some point either her, Kara Lawson, somebody else becomes the first women head coach in the history of the NBA. Move ahead to this question from CaliBro940. That dude looks familiar. I'm not sure where I've seen him from. If Klay was healthy this year, would the Warriors still be in the playoffs? I think so. I think not only are the Warriors in the playoffs with a healthy Klay Thompson, who was a 5-time All-Star when the Warriors went to 5 straight NBA Finals, winning 3 titles, he was one of the best two-way players across the league. And in 2019, Klay Thompson was excellent. 21.5 points per game. He shot 40% from 3. Klay Thompson, even coming off a torn ACL and torn Achilles, I think is going to be able to get the Warriors back to competing for a Western Conference title and maybe even an NBA championship. The Warriors have certainly missed him. Those injuries, maybe they zap him just a little bit, but I think if he was on the court to answer that question this year, Warriors are definitely in the playoffs. They're making some noise, and maybe they're not stuck in a position where they have to win an NBA play-in game against a team like the Los Angeles Lakers, and then they lose against the Memphis Grizzlies. That was a tough spot for this franchise to be in. Just didn't have enough firepower. Klay Thompson obviously would have helped that. Another question coming in from 4Hype or 3Channel Friend. Who is better, CJ McCollum or Andrew Wiggins? Really good question because both of these guys' salaries are in the ballpark of one another. It depends on what you want. Like CJ McCollum, if at the end of games, end of shot clock, you're looking for a player who's going to be able to create off the dribble and get a bucket, you go with CJ McCollum. If you want a two-way player who continues to improve and is still only 26 years old after being the number 1 pick in the 2014 NBA draft, I believe, then you go with Andrew Wiggins. Both guys expensive. Both guys have weaknesses. Not sure CJ is all that clutch. Wiggins, for that reason either. But CJ the better creator. Andrew Wiggins the better two-way guy. This person has some serious shade and hatred toward New York. I mean, look at the picture and the YouTube name. New York is garbage. Is there any possibility for a Jaylen Brown for Damian Lillard trade? I've been asked this a couple times, honestly, and I just don't see it happening. Few reasons for that. Like, Jaylen Brown has developed into one of the best two-way players across the league, and he was a gem from when Danny Ainge drafted him. If you go back and watch his highlight clips at Cal, we're looking at an extremely raw prospect who could barely shoot, could barely handle the basketball, and really wasn't all that good offensively. Now, he's getting close to like 40% from 3. His field goal percentage and three-point percentage were very close to Jason Tatum. So I think you keep Jaylen Brown. He's also, with everything going on socially in and around Boston and around the world right now, Celtics fans and the organization really values him from that standpoint and his leadership. I don't think they get rid of him, but Damian Lillard to the Celtics, my gosh, we're talking about lit fireworks for sure.